Welcome back to the Hockey Show, you amazing people. Now, today I'm talking about some teams that have playoff comeback potential. That's the right word. Comeback potential. That's what we're talking about today. So, let's start off with the obvious pick, the Vegas Golden Knights. They just missed the playoffs for the first time in their existence, in their entire careers of being in the NHL. The Golden Knights missed it after being some of the strongest contenders over the last 4 years. Ever since their existence, they were a very highly picked team to win every year they've gotten in until this last year. But it wasn't really their fault they missed the playoffs. They trade for Jack Eichel, and they bring him in, but he needs a surgery first, and Mark Stone gets injured, and he misses half the season as well. More than half the season as well. So they basically had their two top offensive forwards. I don't know what. They were missing their best forwards for more than half the year. I mean, imagine if you took the Pittsburgh Penguins or like the Edmonton Oilers and you get rid of, McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, Malkin and Crosby. I mean, what do you expect them to do too? So the Vegas Golden Knights. And then of course they kind of have a problem where guys like William Karlsson, like they're not really picking up the slack from where they could be or where they used to be in their career. So they're kind of missing that, and the Golden Knights, with a healthy Jack Eichel, with a healthy Mark Stone, or at least to start the season, as long as they stay that way for most of it, they definitely will find their way back into a playoff spot. It seemed like the Kings, I don't have a lot of hope for, as you probably, if you know anything about me, I don't think the Kings have any chance in the world, and they got lucky from a fact that a few teams sucked, and the Golden Knights weren't very good because their guys were injured. So I think a combination of Dallas and also the LA Kings going down in the rankings, I think the Golden Knights will slide back into that top 3 spot in the Pacific Division, especially with their top guys being healthy this year. But another team that I think will be better than last year is the Columbus Blue Jackets, with the addition, of course, of landing the biggest free agent in Johnny Hockey. I think this is exactly what they needed. They needed a offensive spark. They have gunpowder all around. They've got guys like Roslovic and Line A. They've got these guys that are just ready to just be set on fire, but they don't have that guy. And together, it's just kind of like throwing gunpowder at each other, like nothing's happening. Like, we just need a match, and Gaudreau is going to be that match. Now, they lose Oliver Bjorkstrand this offseason. I think he was their top goal scorer, at least one of them. So he gets traded away this summer to the Seattle Kraken, and Johnny Hockey is brought in, and I think he's going to be the perfect fit here. Columbus needed that spark in Johnny Hockey. If he's going to feed the puck to a guy like Patrick Laine, who could get to the 40 to 50 goals. I mean, it might sound like a ridiculous statement here. This is a big hot take, but I think a guy like Jack Roslovic, a guy that has the heart and soul, he has the skill. We've seen it before. He has the skill, and he has the drive, but he has no one really to help him out. And I think Roslovic, with the addition of Johnny Hockey, call me insane, call me an absolute idiot, I think Jack Roslovic would be able to get to maybe 50 points. And I'm not even joking. If you've seen his highlights, he's playing in his hometown. He was a junior Blue Jacket as a child, and he still is a child. I think he's only 25 or something, and him with his heart and soul, his spirit, his skill, his speed, combined with Johnny Hockey, I think will be great, and I think Roslovic could be set on fire and could be a top guy in the league. And I'm not even joking. I just think he hasn't had the right chance. And the Winnipeg, he wasn't really used to his potential. He was like a third-line guy, not really there. He was pushed out to the side from guys like Ehlers and Connor. And I think when he came to Columbus, he went on fire I think he could. I think he had 9 goals in a certain amount of time, or he was doing crazy. And I think he can do that with that passion, with that heart, with a guy like Johnny Hockey to feed him the puck. I think he can go great. Another team in the Eastern Conference is the Ottawa Senators from the Atlantic Division. Now, this offseason, they bring in Alex DeBrincat, of course, an amazing young guy that I've always said is going to be a star, and I think people are finally realizing that. They bring in veteran Claude Giroux. So they've brought in some really good guys, and then also to add to the fact that they already had guys like Drake Batherson, Josh Norris, Tim Stützle, Brady Tkachuk. They already had some good guys in the lineup, but they're now bringing in those guys to finally give them, once again, that spark, that extra benefit, that bonus, that boost. Alex DeBrincat to play along with, Brady Tkachuk to feed him the puck. I can't wait to see that. Claude Giroux, the veteran, to play alongside, Josh Norris or Tim Stützle. I mean, amazing. Not to mention guys like Drake Batherson, who could play an entire season. He had 44 points in 46 games last year, and he was in his first year, or first, real year. So, I can't wait. Drake Batherson, when he plays full-time role, Josh Norris as well, going into his next season. Just all these young guys and now being added into the pot with DeBrincat and Giroux, I think is going to completely make them one of the top especially offensively. Offensively, I think they'll be good. They bring in Cam Talbot, so they've got a at least proving goaltender to be solid, but not really a guy that's going to steal you games. But I think I've said in my Senators video that I'm not the biggest fan of their defense. I call them sit on their hands defense. It's just kind of they don't do anything special. They're definitely not going to drive any offense. And I like guys like Thomas Chabot, but you need those guys to drive the offense from behind. You need a guy to stop the puck and then get it to your other defenseman. You need the defenseman that's going to play defense, back check, make the play to stop the puck, turn it around to their guy with speed, like a guy like Eric Brandstrom if he can get on fire, go down the ice with their forwards and then get some offense going. But they don't have that. They instead have guys like Travis Hamonic. They don't have any of those Artem Zub, they don't have those type of defensemen. They have very sit-on-your-hands, stay-back defensemen through their lineup, and I think to really make them that powerhouse, they need some guys to be brought in. How are they going to do that? I'm not entirely sure. I mean, they have a young guy in Brandstrom that could finally branch out into that. Get it, Brandstrom, branch out. And I think maybe he could, but I'm just kind of iffy on the Ottawa Senators right now. So, the Senators, I like their change. I like what they did for offense, but they need something to boost their defense. I liked how they brought in Cam Talbot, but they need that defense. But who knows? Maybe Talbot and that defense is going to be the perfect combination. Maybe their forwards will get the job done up front, and then defensively they'll be impossible to score against. Who knows? Maybe that's a way to pan out too, but it will be hard for them to get in. I mean, they're definitely not going to get into a top 3 position in the Atlantic with Florida, Tampa, Boston, and Toronto. I don't know who I said. But anyways, it'd be very tough for them to squeeze into there, especially now that they have other competition like the Detroit Red Wings now. Now, they bring in a lot of guys. I mean, Steve Yzerman, talk about the best GM ever. Knows how to turn a team around. Brings in David Perron, Kubalik, Kopp. These guys on their own, it'd be whatever. But bringing in all of these guys in the same time, bringing in Ville Husso, and then having good draft picks, and not to mention guys already like Moritz Seider in the lineup, and they're bringing in Evanson, another super stud of a defenseman. They have all the potential. They've got everyone coming in. This team is going to take over, and guys like Verona can play an entire season. I can't wait to see what the Red Wings do. I said that they're the winner of this offseason without a doubt. This team is going to turn it around, and I would not be surprised if they can get in that 5th wild card spot. I think so. Between these two teams, the Red Wings finished higher in the standings than the Senators this season, so they kind of already have that little, this head start above them, and I think they added a little bit better talent. So between these two, I'd say the Red Wings have a better chance getting back into the playoff picture next season. But let's move back out west to the Anaheim Ducks. Now, the Anaheim Ducks, they bring in, they didn't bring in, they drafted, and they're going to be probably bringing in Mason McTavish, and this guy blew me away at the World Juniors. This guy, I don't even know what to call it, his tenacity, I don't know if that's not the right word, but whatever you want to call it, the play that sold me on him was when he kept the puck out of the net right before, when it is in the air. That's the type of player that I want on my team. The guy that's just is always in the play, always in the action, even when it's the very final, this is the last 0.1 of a second to make that final stop to save your team, and he's the guy that did it. So, and not to mention, he did pretty well in points as well. So, Mason McTavish, him going into Anaheim, a guy with Trevor Zegras. Could you imagine Zegras making those crazy over-the-net passes or just some sort of, who knows what else he has up his sleeve, to a guy like McTavish who's going to try to drive it to the net? I can't wait to see what those two guys can do together. But they also bring in, I said that the Anaheim Ducks needed a defenseman, a solid centerman, and just someone else to spice up the team. So I said Klingberg, Kadri, and Kessel. Those three things, if you can catch the joke there. But also, for real, I think that's what they needed. They landed Klingberg, which is actually insane. I wish they got Kadri. They definitely had the money too, but they don't bring him in. I also feel like he would have looked really good in that jersey. He fits the Anaheim's he fits the look. I feel like Kadri would look good in a jersey in there. And then they bring in Klingberg, and then they bring in Strome as well. So they bring in a solid centerman, they bring in the defenseman, I said, and Kessel would have been nice to just kind of spark. Kessel, if people don't realize, this guy had 52 points with the Coyotes. He had 48 assists for the Coyotes of all teams. So with a team that can actually try to score some goals, I would like to see what Kessel could do with what he's going to do with the Knights. I think that'll work well. But back to the Ducks. I think they brought in the things that they needed. Maybe not the right people, but they did bring in this right kind of people, as well as bringing up guys like McTavish and also guys like Jamie Drysdale in the back. The Ducks, I think, are going to be primed to be taking over one of those wild card spots as well as the third place. Or a team like the Seattle Kraken. Now, I think this is the team with the longest shot on this board to make a chance. They bring in Oliver Bjorkstrand from the Blue Jackets. They bring in Andre Burakovsky. So they bring in two young guy goal scorers that could try to make that break for themselves, make a name on the Kraken, and be like their number one goal scorer. Those two guys, I think, are good picks to bring them in, to give them that chance to be the number one guy. And I think that's what they always needed, because Burakovsky, I mean, he was on the Capitals, so of course he's not going to be the number one guy there. He goes to the Colorado Avalanche, obviously not going to be it there either. Oliver Bjorkstrand, he's good, but he's just not big of a name, and Columbus just isn't really the spot to make a name for yourself. So with the Seattle Kraken, I feel like those two guys will really go out and grab that brass ring for themselves and try to make a name, as well as the guys coming up in Shane Wright and Matty Beniers. These guys, I mean, talk about skill, talk about young talent. These guys being the centermen, being the forwards of the Kraken, with guys like Bjorkstrand, like Burakovsky, not to mention the guys they already had on the team. I think the Kraken are being primed, and between the three Pacific teams, the Knights, the Ducks, and the Kraken, I think out of the three, one of them will take the third place spot in the at least a top three spot in the division, as well as a wild card spot. Between the Blue Jackets, the Senators, and the Red Wings, I feel like the one with the best chance of making it is the Blue Jackets. But with the Red Wings, for me, I think it depends on how certain young guys pan out. If Evansson makes the team and then is also as good as he could be, and also if Philip Zadina can jump into that, if he can become the young goal scorer that he's always hoped to be, I think the Red Wings have the best chance out of them, if not the Blue Jackets for sure. But that's what I have to say about the playoff hopeful comeback potentiality of some of the teams in the NHL. So if you like this video, please pick up your free subscription by hitting that red subscribe button. If you like this video, leave a like, not a dislike, but go down below and tell me how stupid I am for deciding to choose these teams, and how I think that, I mean, what did I even say? That Roslovic is going to score 50 goals. Tell me how stupid I am down below. And until next time, thank you for watching this. I've been your dapperly dressed host, Owen. Until next time, too sweet. I hope you have an amazing day. And ta-ta for now.